Little Bay Island, one such outport, whose men have fished the Labrador for generations.
What did you like about living on Little Bay Island? It's this, very remote place, very, very tight-knit community. What did you like about living there?
Well, actually, it didn't come to me that I was on an island because I was born there and raised and lived 68 years there. So it didn't come to me. Winter come and go, and it was just the same, I'd say, as if you was in a town where you could come and go when you like. We had a very active life. I was involved in the church. I was a person that visited a lot of people. Gord, his trade is a welder. He used to go with hydro. He was an operator in the plant. Well, after he had the stroke, my life changed completely. Well, he ended up in Grand Falls. He was in there for so long, they transported him to the Miller Centre. I left on the 2nd of October when he had his stroke, when we took him to the hospital. I had 2 nights in my home up until May the next year. When Gord got out of the Miller Centre, I went back to my home. I stayed there with him 13 years, like he was.
And you were taking care of him?
I was taking care of him. And we stayed there until just 3 years ago.
So you lived there for 68 years, almost 7 decades.
Right on.
Right. And the government says, despite that you are not permanent residents.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Well, I was hurt, and I thought we was discriminated.
I went there 1942, and I lived there until I got sick and had to go in the hospital.
So you lived there for 71 years.
Yes.
But the government says you're not a resident.
That's terrible. That is terrible. I brought my children up there. She went to school there. And how did the government come to say that?
I have the red and you have the green.
Okay.
I was born there in 1939. I'm a war baby. I'm upset with the government. I think it's awful. I have 3 houses. I have my house that we live in, which belonged to my brother that I bought. And then I have a heritage house. We're there every year. I've never missed a year. Even when I was living in Montreal, I was home every year. And I was born there, and I'll go back as long as I can,
We're taxpayers and property owners. We've paid taxes there for 25 years with dozens of other people, and they blocked us from voting.
We're blocked. But the thing is, you see, it was the money. That's what got people wanting to go, because the government was paying them money, so what can you do? They were being paid to leave, and they got the people to go. So, I don't know.
I just can't understand it. Just people came in after I did. They had no problem getting what I've been struggling for, to get some help. But it's not fair, nothing fair.
I've been back and forth to Little Bay Islands, like I say, since 1955, and we've put a fair amount of effort and money into it. I served on the council there for 5 years. In the first vote, which was about 3 or 4 years ago, we were disqualified from having a vote then. But then Judge Wells was appointed to review it, and he reinstated us. But then the government changed the rules, and in the second vote, they were classified as non-residents. So that meant even though we're paying taxes and own property there, we're not allowed to have a say. And one of the clauses in the disqualification is that we had to live in Little Bay Islands for 365 days a year in order to qualify for a voter. Now, to be a resident of Canada, you only have to be 183 days.
Well, there was around 12 or 14 of us got turned down that we wouldn't allow to vote. And then all of a sudden, it got changed around. That was, I think it was 7 of us that wouldn't permanent residents, that we weren't allowed to vote. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't feel the hurt. I wouldn't feel the way that I feels. But to realise that so many got turned around and we never. And I mean, some was left to Ireland before I left.
And they qualified.
And they qualified. There was someone there that never lived there for 16 years, 16, 17 years, and they qualified. I don't say nothing about no people, but I just blames the liar that the government had, because he never went to no doctor. We were supposed to have a doctor's report. If we had to leave for medical reasons, we were supposed to have a letter from our doctor.
Right, and that would mean you would qualify, right?
Yes.
Because if you look at Gord, obviously you had to be closer to
Right.
healthcare.
Right.
Juanita agrees with both of you, and as you know, Juanita has a pretty tough
Oh, she did, certainly.
situation.
Yes.
Do you
Yeah.
think it's fair that people who were forced to leave because of health concerns, such as a husband having a stroke, that they were essentially disqualified from all this?
Oh, sure, that's completely wrong,
Terrible.
yeah.
She should be top of the list because she had to leave for a medical situation. I mean, she should really get the top bonus for that, not be
Yeah,
taken
if
out.
anyone there should get money, it should be someone like
Yeah,
Gordon.
yeah.
Well, you know.
Just bad feelings. And the ones like myself got turned down, they feel exactly the same way that I do. I'm not in the place that I could afford a lawyer to appeal it, eh? But, you know, well, we're here now, and that's where we're going to stay now.